we're also Barbenheimer. We're in the aftermath of Barbenheimer, and movies are top of the news these days. Like, it was a
Yeah.
viral sensation, and like every news outlet was talking about how movies are making a bunch of money. It's the Barbenheimer. And so we got a lot of people coming to the movie theater.
Hmm.
I was at a theater that is usually dead on Tuesday nights this
Yeah.
past week, and it was a sea of pink. It was a lot of people. It
Yeah.
was full lines and lines. And I was like, I know, like, it was a late showing, and normally I just walk right up to concessions, and I waited about 15 minutes for concessions and to even to get my show my ticket. Like, so we got a lot of folks who are either not seasoned moviegoers, and a lot of people who are, movies are top of mind just for
Hmm.
society in general. And we
Yeah.
we may have had some experiences this past weekend at the Barbenheimers or movies in the past. We're in the heat of summer right now, summer blockbuster season. A lot of people are kind of only going to see certain movies that come out
Right.
around this time of year. So tis the season.
Yeah, it's the season. It's the phenomenon called Barbenheimer. This whole Barbenheimer thing, I don't think we really truly expected it to be as big of an event as it's turned out to be. You said so. Blake and I, we had like a couple exchanges earlier in the week. Blake was going to a movie on, I believe it was Tuesday, right? It was like Tuesday evening. You were going to see, I believe, Oppenheimer. Was it? And this was what, your second
Oppenheimer
time?
for the second time, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. That's
so
just kind of where I am.
yeah, so he was off to see Oppenheimer for a second time. I was attending a screening of Twisted Metal, which is this new Peacock series, but at a movie theater. And the movie theater I was at is one of like the only real true IMAX screens in the city, Lincoln Center. So I already knew that the Oppenheimer showings would be sold out. Now, this is a pretty huge theater in its own right. My goodness, the amount of people that were at that theater on a school night, literally a school night.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not saying like
Well,
these
summer
were,
break, but yeah, like a
yeah,
weeknight. Like, don't you have like there's a 2 a.m. showing of some of these
yeah,
movies, and it's like no one has jobs. Like, what is
yeah,
I guess like if you're in the service industry and you get off work at 2 and you want to go to the movies, like they are selling out
oh yeah,
theaters and
it's
filling it up. And what I love about the big theaters is they have wiggle rooms. So they just keep adding screens and screens and
yep,
screens, and they're just going to keep filling them up. It's been amazing.
it's been
I thought it was
unheard
gonna be
of.
like a,
Yeah,
a viral thing, like a Letterboxd way, where like movie people are aware of the
hmm,
Barbenheimer phenomenon. But like, no, I'm just like seeing it on the news report in the elevator at work, or like new like headlines randomly,
yeah,
like just everywhere. It's a
yeah,
thing.
yeah. No, it's
Casual conversations. It was like coming up in the waiting room at the doctor's office. Like,
yeah,
for real, I had a whole conversation about Barbenheimer with someone who's like, "What are you doing this weekend?" And then talked about the Barbenheimer phenomenon. It's
yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
It's everybody.
It's been a thing ever since people started getting like were made aware that Barbie and Oppenheimer were opening the same weekend. None of the studios were budging as far as moving, release dates or whatever. Counter programming. That's what they were hoping
Yeah.
for, and it really worked, right?
Yeah.
The Barbenheimer moniker was actually penned by social media. It wasn't done by Warner Brothers. It wasn't done by anybody else. It was penned, just like how they do the whole Bennifer thing and all that stuff like that. It's because people love joining two names together and coming up with some sort of meme. And that's basically what spread. But who knew that it was going to spread like wildfire like it did this time around? So much so that, and you and I, we shared an article together, or you shared an article with me that I actually read a couple days prior. That
Okay.
because,
Humble brag.
well, yeah, well, you know me, I'm the news guy, so I'm the one who's always on
Yeah.
top of the news,
You're on the film
and all
news.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're on the entertainment news. That's your
right.
world.
And so people were going to watch Oppenheimer because they just couldn't get into Barbie showings because Barbie showings were all sold out. So there was like an estimated $5 to $8 million, right?
Just the first weekend, I
Just the
think.
first
Like,
weekend
that's amazing. Like,
attributed
some
because
movies
people couldn't
that are
go.
good don't
Yeah,
make 5 million. Like, that are like, oh, this one should make some money. They're not making 5 million on opening weekend. Like, that's
right,
wild.
right. So it's like an extra 5 to 8 million on top of already what they were making just because people couldn't go watch Barbie, right? And I'm pretty sure vice versa because you have people who probably want to see that 70 millimeter showing of Oppenheimer. those are like you said, at the Lincoln Center Theater, that's sold out until August, like mid-August. So if you can't see it then, and you're like so hell bent that you don't want to see it other way than 70
You're already
millimeter,
at the theater.
you're
Yeah.
gonna go watch something else. And what are you gonna watch?
Yeah.
You know, Barbie. Why not? Right? And
Right.
especially that first weekend, the first week, or what have you. So it's been like an amazing phenomenon that yes, it we are in a moment where it feels like a summer movie season like it was back in 2015, 2016, you know, like where like a lot of people are comparing this to like Endgame. When Endgame came out, like theaters were like nuts for like several weeks. You had the showing sold out. You have people like flooding the theaters all throughout the week. You and I were at a theater on Tuesday nights that were filled to the brim. You know, and like when I say school night, these weren't young kids; these were like adults.
Yeah.
You know, these were adults. See a Pink, everyone. There was one group that I saw was 8 deep. It was like 8 deep group. And they had a
Right.
serious conversation before going into the theater. They're like, all right, who's sitting where? You're sitting next to this guy, you're sitting next to that guy. And I was just like, oh my God, it's like military. It's like like we need to have our group situated before we get in there because everyone has this whole thing. It was
I'm also wondering if because it was a
fascinating.
Tuesday, the Mean Girls on Tuesdays we wear pink thing. If that was an
Oh
even
yeah.
bigger
Oh,
deal,
oh, I'm
like
sure.
it's Tuesday, we're definitely doing it now.
Oh, I'm
Everybody
sure.
better.
Yeah.
There was another while we're just talking about Barbenheimer, there's a lovely TikTok that I saw. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
viral yet, but it's this young man, and it's kind of a story about his father accepting him, and his dad agreed to Barbenheimer with him over the weekend, and the kid had them wear pink Barbie shirts.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
was really cute. And then they go to Barbie first, and then it shows they get coffee, and they're going to go to Oppenheimer. They walk by the movie poster. The dad takes a picture because that's the movie the dad's excited to see. And then
Mhm.
the movie starts, and it's Barbie again. And the dad just looks over, and he's like,
Ah.
but then they went through it, and I thought that
That's
was
funny.
absolutely that's a a great move,
That's great. That's
hilarious.
great.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
counter programming, man, it worked.
It,
Five
it
5 to 8 million. Like Beau is Afraid made a few 100,000 on its
yeah.
opening weekend. 5 million from runoff Barbie sales is incredible.
It's amazing and it's outstanding. And it again, we haven't seen this in a very long time, you know. But again, I don't want to like go out there and say, "Oh, movie theaters are back, baby." No, because this is just like a quick moment in time, you know. Like in
A
a couple of
phenomenon,
weeks,
an anomaly,
yeah, everything
an
is gonna
anomalous
drop back
phenomenon.
to like normalcy, right, and all
Are
that.
movie theaters dead? They lost 800%
Yeah.
in profits since July.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, Barbie dropped 60% from last weekend. Da da da. Like this. Well, no, it's just
The
it's run
phenomenon
its
isn't
time.
continuous. Yeah, of course it's not. It's a phenomenon. That's how it works.
Right, exactly. But it is just really nice to see. And again, yesterday, so and I think timing wise, it's perfect too because not only here on the East Coast, but I know several parts of the country, we're going through massive heat waves right now. So people are going to theaters to like escape.
AC movie season,
AC movie
baby.
time, yeah. And
Get out
like
of that heat.
yesterday, I went to the theater because it was freaking hot and I was tired of being home. So I went early to watch. I before my theater stopped showing it because they're gonna remove it starting next week. Indiana Jones. I said let me give it one more shot in the theater, you know, and I still didn't like it after the second time, but I decided to give it another shot, you know, and plus there were a lot of people in the theater with me, you know, who were still watching it and they enjoyed it. People were clapping and all that. So I was like, wow, I maybe it's just me. Who knows? Um, but
Yeah.
then after that, I went to see Haunted Mansion. But all throughout the theater, I still saw sea of pink everywhere I looked. I mean, you had families, you had there was this one cute Indian family where they were wearing, you know, I forgot, I don't know what you call them, they're the type of clothes that the women wear. It's the
Sorry.
uh sorry, yeah, but it was all in pink and they were
Oh,
yeah, and I was just like, oh my
I
God,
know.
this is phenomenal. This is I would never have seen this otherwise, you know. And it's like the mom, the two daughters, they're all like that, and the dad is wearing like the pink shirt like that, and I'm just like, this is fantastic. Like it's amazing what this thing has turned into, and it doesn't seem to be stopping either, because going into now second weekend, I'm pretty sure we're going to see fantastic numbers all throughout. I think they're already predicting by the end of Sunday, Barbie would surpass 700 million globally in just its
Wow.
second week.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's insane. That's just
I
insane,
didn't
you
realize it
know?
was that much. I'm glad you're on top of the industry news. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
so well informed. I'm not a news guy.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. It's nuts. And, you know, and what is it? It's not even, and this is funny because I also read that Barbie has interesting ties in Japan, and that movie's not set to open in Japan, I think, until next week. So I don't even know what the numbers are going to be like once that happens, when that opens up over there. So, and Oppenheimer is also expected to perform really well because, again, people are still really dying to see that movie, and people who are holding out for watching it in 70 millimeter IMAX. So of course, IMAX, you're saying like, oh, IMAX revenue has jumped tremendously. Theaters back, baby. We're all making money. Yeah, let's see what happens in September.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's just really really nice to see. It's fantastic to see. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, again, even if this is just a brief moment in time, you know, it is just nice to see that yes, this can happen if you come out with compelling and interesting stories and movies, and you take proper care with them. You know, like Barbie turned out to be this phenom. By the way, I called it. By the way, last year I said just wait. Barbie's going to be like that surprise thing in the summer, just like Everything Ever All at Once or Top Gun.
No, my number two most anticipated movie. Look, she's having a rough year this year. Between Amsterdam and Babylon, Margot Robbie is getting a lot of heat this year.
Barbie.
I'm calling it right now. When Barbie comes out, that is going to be a huge surprise hit. That's going to take everyone by surprise. You have Greta Gerwig, who's directing it. We all know she can direct and surprise a lot of people with her movies.
Level Greta Gerwig, Oscar level Margot Robbie, Ryan fucking Gosling.
Simu Liu.
This cast is more stacked than I realized.
Oh
wow.
yeah.
You have top leads.
You have so many people in this movie, and it looks like, just based off of the teaser trailer that we got, they're definitely going dark humor on this one, which is a perfect way to go if you were to do a live action Barbie movie, especially in this generation. So I am so looking forward to how this movie is going to turn out. I could be eating my words and say, wow, this movie is a piece of shit, but I don't think so. I think this is going to be one of those surprise hits of the year. And I said it.
Talk about the box office contest we have, because I bet on Oppenheimer and I had some bad information. Go ahead.
Hey, but you're not doing that. Yeah, you're doing still well with Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer is killing it. So, yeah, we'll review those numbers next week. We'll review those numbers.
About half of what Barbie's making or so. It's doing great. Yeah, it's doing so great.
Hey, I think for a Christopher Nolan movie, this movie is going to do extremely well.
Extremely well.
And deservingly so,
for
because
3 hour movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
a
3-hour
movie.
Biopic. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah. Who would have thought? But did you also read that because it's 70 millimeter IMAX, and since it is 3 hours, it's like pushing the limits of what on a regular IMAX. A lot of IMAX theaters are having issues with it. And so much so that they need to have a special technician on call at some theaters because they have been encountering a lot of problems with it. So now they're
like, I'm on my way. I'll fix it. Don't worry. I need this to play the correct way.
Right, exactly.
He's been running around theater to theater, renting cars.
That's all he's doing.
IMAX reels in the back.
Yeah, that's all he's doing. So I'm curious as to how much money some of these theaters are now paying for this special technician to just always be around to monitor, any issues with their showings and all that. But again, it just shows you what big of a deal this whole Oppenheimer IMAX situation is. But it is fantastic. It's going to be a moment in the industry that people are going to be talking about for a bit. And it's like, hey, where were you during Barbenheimer and all that?
Tell me about the great box office wars of 2023.
Yes. What is this? The Tales of Barbenheimer?
What did you used to eat back then? What was the popcorn like? What is popcorn, Father?
What is popcorn? What is theater? What is cinema? It's going to be fantastic. And what better way to solidify that you've been there by getting a shirt like this? Again, promo plug. Yeah, do it. Go buy it. Popculture.shop. Hey everyone, just a quick message here that this episode is brought to you by a new shop that I just launched. That's right, popculture.shop is a new merch shop where you can not only find Low-Key Geek and eventually MovieTime merchandise, but you will find merchandise dedicated to some of the biggest things in pop culture at the moment. Whether it's movies, TV, video games, memes, or anything of the like, you'll find some of the homages to some of the biggest things that are happening currently at the time. You also eventually will find some cool retro throwbacks in here and there. The shop just launched, so bear with me. I'm filling in the inventory, but you'll find new stuff dropping every week. But to help celebrate the launch of this brand new merch shop, I'm giving all of you, the listeners, subscribers here at the Low-Key Geek channel, a nice little discount to check it out. So if you use the code LOWKEYGEEK at checkout, you'll get yourself a nice little 15% discount. So definitely check it out. This is another great way to help support the channel and show your love and support for everything that we do here. But it's also a brand new venture of my own, just going out into the retail market. So any support that you could throw our way would be greatly appreciated. So once again, that is Pop Couture, popculture.shop, popculture.shop, a shop for geeks who are chic.
For full audio episodes of the MovieTime podcast, make sure to follow and subscribe to the Low-Key Geek channel on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes are uploaded every week.